What's up, guys? Welcome back to RT2. Everyone's having a great day today. So as you guys can see, I'm currently sitting with both of my computers, my brand new Ryzen 5 powered machine and my 2010 Mac Pro 5 Column 1. And today's video is going to be kind of a video on why I switched, why I now have 4 computers, and what the future is in store for the Mac. So let's get right into the whole story about why I now own 4 computers and why I have 2 desktops, and why I got this one in particular. So those who didn't watch the last video where I built this and don't know the specs, it's simply put just kind of getting my foot in the door. A lot of the parts are actually from this computer. The CPU is a Ryzen 5 3600 with the stock AMD cooler. The main reason I wanted to go Ryzen, I was actually really torn on what I wanted to run, if I wanted to run Intel or Ryzen. And it was actually a really hard decision because I was looking at the Core i5, I think it was the 9600, the non-K variant, as well as the 10600K, which was quite a bit more expensive, as well as the Ryzen 5 3600. Now, I don't plan on overclocking at the moment. I'm just getting into the proper PC world. You guys know I've had kind of a more console-oriented thing my entire life, so getting into computers was kind of something recent when I got the Mac. Granted, I've had a gaming computer in the past with my ROG laptop, so I wanted to get kind of a system that would game better, as well as content creation, which was primarily the reason I love Ryzen so much. Ryzen is just very good for video production, which is what I spend a lot of time doing. I'm actually about to go into an even more aggressive form of video production. If you guys watch my main channel, which revolves around cars, I'm getting into doing automotive cinematics, so I needed a PC that would be able to handle the power. And unfortunately, due to the age and how technology has advanced in the last 10 years, the Mac just wasn't cutting it anymore. I mentioned in the one-year review that it was just really slow in editing, and that I did plan on replacing the new PC in the future. Now, I didn't expect it to be within a month or two of making that video that I'd be sitting here next to a brand new PC, but I did, express that it would be happening eventually. And all in all, total cost for this build right here is $460, which is still about $200, $300 less than what I put into this Mac Pro, including their initial purchase cost. That's a little bit more than the purchase cost of this thing with the 4870 in it. And sure, at the end of the day, a lot of the parts in it are reused from this. Notably, my RX 580 graphics card, which I put in this thing originally, as well as my hard drive, my 4TB Western Digital. And I am thinking about taking the hard drive out of this that's running macOS as well, since it's already unable to run now because of the fact that I don't have the 580 in it anymore. I'm not tearing this down just to put the 580 in it to clear the hard drive and set up a new install media, because that'd just be a pain. This computer would be down for a minute. So the thing about doing is just pulling the hard drive out of it, clearing it, putting it in this, and having an extra terabyte, as well as then selling this thing completely cleaned with just a fresh slate. Someone who has access to getting a High Sierra install can just pop it in here with their own hard drive of choice, and they'll be on their way. Because I've had weird suspicions of the hard drive in this thing for a while, so that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing with that. I may sell it still with the hard drive in it, but yeah, the main reason I wanted the new PC was for just newer kind of performance. Gaming wise, this isn't terribly much better, and that's because of the 580. It is pinned at 100% anytime I boot a game up. So this thing is at its max point in terms of graphics potential, but the CPU side is where this thing shines. That Ryzen 5 3600 is still a 6-core 12-thread, much like the Xeon X5680 in this, but it's modern technology. It's got more cache, it's got more horsepower under the hood than the Max Xeon X5680, which is why I was so keen on getting the 3600. I originally wanted the Ryzen 3 3100, which was still a 3rd-gen Ryzen chip. It was a quad-core chip, but it also beat the X5680. But the Micro Center I went to when I bought the parts for this, which was the motherboard and CPU in particular, they didn't have a 3100. The cheapest CPU they had was the 3600, if I wanted to go Ryzen at least. So I was like, okay. It was only like $50 more expensive, and I saved so much money on the motherboard that I was okay with spending a little bit more on the CPU. I got the motherboard for $50, and I intended to pay about $100 each component, getting a Ryzen 3 3100 as well as a $100 motherboard, but I wound up getting the motherboard for $50 because they were doing a bundle deal at the time, which was great, and I got the CPU for $177. So of course the rest of the parts were spares from Michael. Michael offered me a deal to give me the case, power supply, and RAM for $200 even. So it's like, shoot, that sounds like a good deal to me. So out of the door, I'm going to pay $260 for the CPU as well as the motherboard from Micro Center, and as well as a DisplayPort cable, which is what it's not running at. You was running HDMI to maximize my, value out of this computer. And then of course paid $200 for all this stuff. I actually haven't paid him yet. Michael would actually work a deal out with me where I could pay him back later, even though I had the money to pay him right there. But he just told me not to worry about it that day we built this. So I will be paying him back, of course. I'm saying it on video. The reason I'm saying it on video is so people know that I'm not trying to screw him over. So obviously if I was trying to skip out, I wouldn't say anything at all. But so far, I've really enjoyed this thing. It hasn't given me any issues, minus some overclocking problems we ran into with the 580. We did try to push a little bit more power out of it, and it wasn't too thrilled. So we dialed it back a little bit now because I was having constant issues with game, like Rocket League in particular was crashing quite a lot. But like I said, the game runs at such a high level of performance anyway. I mean, that's like with the 580, it's maxing out. So I will be putting a 3070 in this eventually. Probably not when they first come out because they're probably going to be really hard to find when they first come out, so my goal is to wait a little while until they slow down a little bit, and then I'll be buying up some 3070 stuff for this thing and jumping up the graphics performance. So that's kind of the story behind this PC here. I am going to tinker with it a lot more. I do have plans to get a nicer case soon. That's white for my Civic Type R theme, if you guys watched the build video, which I'm probably assuming not a lot of people actually did through all the way because it was a 40-minute long video. That was kind of my thing. We're doing a Honda Civic Type R theme with this computer, so a lot of the stuff you guys are going to see are based on the Type R. So a white case, white peripherals, some Type R badging and stuff like that. If you guys know Hondas, you guys know that the Type R is like this really prestigious car. So that's kind of the goal with this thing. What we got right now, though, with this case is just to get my foot in the door. A lot of parts are going to be transferred over to the new case whenever that comes in. The power supply, the CPU, the motherboard, all that good stuff. I'm hoping I can have water cooling as well through an AIO by then to kind of knock some temps down, because Ryzens do tend to run a little warm. So I'd like to have, especially during hardcore use, like what I put this thing through. I literally have not been easy on this computer since it showed up. I have been hammering it with workloads, video edits, gaming, stuff like that. So so far, I really love the real PC life, I guess you could say. Michael always gave me a hard time with this for me calling this a PC because it ran Windows. Calling it a fake PC or whatever. But having a real PC, a modern PC, is what I should say. I'm having a great time with it. I'm really loving this computer so far. So let's talk about the Mac for a second then. Because obviously, as you guys can tell, it's been kind of just sitting here in the corner of my room. Pretty much the plan is right now is just to reassemble it, put the RX or the 4870 in here, this card right here, back in the computer. It should still be in fully functioning condition because it was when I took it out. So this will be going back in the computer and being sold alongside it. And once everything's back in the computer, it'll be getting sold. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to sell it with the hard drive in it. I may take it out and stuff it in here and get an extra terabyte of memory. Because it does have a 1 terabyte drive in it right now. And I'm already done with it, and like I said, it's already bricked at this point anyway, because it does have Mojave installed on it, and if you guys don't know anything about Macs, Mojave can't run without a metal supported graphics card like an RX 580. So the only way I could get that cleared and set up to run High Sierra again is if I took my RX 580 out of this, plugged it back into this, and then reset it that way in Mac OS, which I really don't want to do, because then I would lose this computer for a minute, and Ryzen 5s can't run without a discrete GPU. So if I take this out, this computer's bricked, but if I leave it in here, this computer's bricked. So it's kind of a trade-off. That's the disadvantage of not buying a second of the same graphics card. But at the end of the day, it saved me money on this, so I'm fine with it. That's kind of that with the Mac. I may take the hard drive out of it, throw the 4870 back in, and include a lot of the stuff I have for it, such as my W3565 CPU it came with, as well as a couple other little things like a DVI and HDMI converter, for example, to help people who don't have HD displays like I did when I first got this. I had to buy the adapter the day I got it because I couldn't use it otherwise, and that was that. I got it up and running. So at the end of the day, I'm happy with my decision to get this new PC. It's going to be sticking around for a very long time because the advantages of a gaming PC, a modern PC, and not an Apple computer is that they are completely upgradable. That was my main reason for wanting to switch to PC, is I wanted upgradability. I didn't want to be limited on what I could and couldn't run, such as when the 3000 series graphics cards got out. So I was really wanting to get a 3070 when they came out and got cheap, and I was like, well, I can't run one in the Mac because Apple and NVIDIA can't get along. So I was like, well, maybe it's time to get a new PC. I've had this for a little while. I've got another Mac already that I really enjoy, my MacBook, which I will be keeping, even despite my friends wanting me to sell that too. I will be keeping the MacBook. I love that computer way too much. And this will be the new gaming and editing rig for now on. So that's kind of that on why I switched to PC from my 2010 Mac Pro to my custom-built Ryzen computer. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys with a new upload hopefully next week, because I'm trying to get some new gaming content going. I think a successor to some Forza videos might be coming soon. I need to get back with the guys from UI on that one. I haven't played with them in actually quite a while, so hopefully I can get with them to record some videos soon. And also a successor to the Rocket League video that we did a couple weeks ago will be going up soon, because that was a great video. But anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Have a great one, everyone.